Blue.com. I'm here with Mr. Blake Williams. My name is Scott Gierman. It's great to have you here with World Series hero, Will Klein. It's great to have you on, man. It's really a pleasure to talk to you. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me on. This will be fun.
Yeah, this is something that Blake especially, Blake's been a big fan of yours. We'll get into that in a little bit, but for quite a long time, put myself on the radar, a bunch of our friends, staff members over at Dodger Blue and a lot of our, Dodger Blue fan base and all of our viewers. And it was just terrific to see, all of that ability unfold, down the stretch there, right in the middle of the regular season and watch you contribute on the biggest stage. Just overjoyed to have you on. Real quick question, just looking into how your life has changed and how yourself has changed, maybe as a person, as a player, since you took the ball in Game 3 of the World Series.
Yeah, I like to think I haven't changed a whole lot. I'm sure there are small things that I don't notice, but I feel like I go about my daily life kind of the same as I did before. 'Cause won the World Series, but after in the off season, I'm just kind of like try to be like a normal person, and so I'll go and train, and then I come home and I just, try to have like a low key off season. A little harder to do when we have a bunch of like Fan Fest and some other stuff I've done with like Kike and stuff like that. So that's been a big change, like getting to be involved with stuff outside of baseball because of what happened in Game 3. So that's been really cool to get to be a part of like more stuff like that and to get to interact with more people and more things that I enjoy doing that now I can now I have like a little bit more openness and like sharing what I do, and so like being able to interact with people in those different circles has been a little bit more than I had before.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get in a little bit to kind of how your development as a player, as a person, how your multiple stops along the way. Hell, you drafted during COVID. I mean, there's a lot to it. So what I would really like to know is you're a low key, calm, cool manner, calm guy. And I think for how much of emotion you expressed, in the World Series, that was beautiful to see because it's such a tense stage. I can't put myself in those shoes. I can only be where I was watching on TV. And just for how that competitiveness, that competitor in you, it looked like you were built for that. It looked like this whole path rising right to then, knowing that you were the last guy in the bullpen, you carried that on your shoulders.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to know you're the last guy out there. It kind of adds like a little bit of kick to you. Like, I didn't want to lose the game, and so to be the one who's it kind of relied on was refreshing almost. Like it didn't like I feel like there's like you can either be scared from it or you can, go straight at it. And so I feel like that I just was like, who cares what happens here? Like I wasn't supposed to be here anyways, so like might as well have some fun with it. And so I thought it brought out some adrenaline and, feeling the crowd and my teammates too. Like they kind of add that. That's where you see like the emotion come out, after pretty much every inning, just because it's such high stakes and, every pitch, every out means the world. And, getting through another inning gives our team another chance to win it. And so it was super stressful, but I feel like just the moment kind of like takes over and you're just like, you're sitting back, like watching yourself do everything you've practiced for, the last 25, 26 years. And so it just like you just let it take over. And so that was really cool. And then to be able to like, yeah, every time it came out, it's just like that relief washes over and you're like, let's go win it. And then you go back out there and, do the same thing. And so it just kind of like takes over, like, and then you see after that fourth one, just how stressful that last inning was. Like, that's where that kind of came from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to ask one more thing. I'm going to have Blake ask a few things here. 72 pitches, man. I mean, it was at that moment, you see every kind of offensive guy go up there, not maybe have a big swing, try to end the game or put themselves up there. But which part of that 4 inning outing sticks out to you the most? Do you replay any of that, or is it kind of all a blur? Because for me, when I look at it, there's multiple at bats where I watched you sequence, and it was just like at a certain point, you're going to throw that heat. You're going to throw a fastball, blow it by him there. Is there any part of that outing that just continuously sticks out to you, or you replay a bit?
Yeah, I think the biggest moment for me, I remember like when Will called that last curveball, like how it felt because we had gone fastball and I'd gotten behind, and obviously
Mhm.
the command was slipping a little bit. And he just called a curveball there. And so like the faith he had to call that kind of like reinvigorated me for that last pitch, especially. And so just like to have him, have the balls to call that was really cool. And so that kind of like, put that back. But like I haven't rewatched the full thing in its entirety or anything, but like whenever it like runs across my feed, I'll watch it. And I like watching like the other moments because like sometimes you forget some of the little things that happened, like especially leading up to that, like with Tommy and Teo out there, and then even like Vlad's play across the diamond.
Yeah.
Like you forget some of those like moments and how intense that whole thing was. And so be able to watch that. And then I remember I'll rewatch Muncie's home run too. Like we got it to 2-3 in that game, and they scored to make it 2-4, and you kind of felt the life kind of come out a little bit. Like 2 runs, we were struggling, to get there, and just felt like each run was so important. And the fact that they tacked that one on, it's like, and with how Savage had been pitching, like he was been lights out against us. And so Muncie hits that one off the, made for November sign, or was it made for October or November or whatever. And I was like, that's kind of ironic, and so he hits that one. It was just an absolute mammoth shot. And you're like, oh, maybe there's a chance here. And then I watch Miggy's and Will's like every time. Those are just such like the emotions that like they stirred up. It's just like, I can't believe we were ever in that spot, and so him doing all that with, how the postseason had been going, and Will having been such a big part and, catching every inning of the World Series. Like, it's just, those are 2 crazy moments that I like to, I can't get enough of.
Absolutely.
You mentioned in your mindset, like when you were pitching out there, like kind of the not supposed to be there mentality and just allowing you to be a little more free. At what point did you find out you were going to be on the World Series roster? Because you got optioned right before the end of the season. Then you weren't eligible for the DS and CS. So did they just tell you like, stay ready and we're going to add you back on for the World Series? Or was it something you found out like a day before the rosters were set, or how did they go through that process?
Yeah. I mean, the end of the season was kind of a whirlwind, because I threw like, I feel like 4 pretty good innings there to finish it. And I thought I gave myself a chance to, make the playoff rosters. And then I got optioned after my one in Seattle, which makes sense because I went back to back. I threw 2 innings. Like, there's some other guys that you want to see, what you have in them. And I didn't realize, when it first happened that I wasn't eligible for the first 2. And then they told me, I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. But, I mean, didn't need me. They looked great. But it was cool again. I mean, I was just watching those at home, as a fan, like, World Series ring would be sick. Please go, win. But it was me and 4 other pitchers and like 3 hitters down in Arizona, like playing catch, throwing live ABs to each other, like, once or twice a week. And I mean, it's called Stay Hot Camp, but no one else had really ever gone from that to the roster, at least the World Series roster. And so it was like, because they had a couple guys in LA too that were probably like first up in case of emergency. And so you're like, well, it's cool to be included, but I feel like we were all like seasons kind of over, like just stay hot in case something crazy happens. And then we went out there to throw live ABs, like, because they had a couple days off between the series because they swept, and the other game we went to 7. And so like they had 2 games off. So we went through live ABs. Then I was like packing up to go home, and they came in there and was like, hey, do you have your passport? Like, can you get on the team flight to Toronto? I was like, sick. Like,
there you go.
They didn't know I was on the roster. I thought it was just in case of emergency because we're going to Canada, and it's a lot harder to get someone from Arizona to Canada, And they're like, can your wife get here? I was like, yeah, I'll get her here. It's like 8 p.m. In Pacific time. So I flew her out the next morning. And then so we got on the team flight from LA to Canada, and had like our practices there because we got super late that day, which is crazy. And then we had like a light practice, full practice the next day, like the day before, and then it was like 11 p.m. In Toronto when Pryor called me and was like, "Hey, you're on the roster." I was like, "Oh my god!" Like the night, like late night, the night before the World Series. It was kind of nice because I didn't get time to think about it or like worry about it. It was like, here you go. It's like, yeah. And so I was like, oh my god, like this is crazy. I was just happy to be here, and now who knows what's gonna happen. And yeah, I mean, it's super last minute. Kind of was like all over the place that last week, but it was, I mean, I almost appreciated that more than having like a week to sit there and think about it,
Sure.
They gave you a few days before you got into the game, though. Like, was that waiting a little stressful?
I got in game 1.
Okay, right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so getting in that game, that helped for game 3 too, because my first couple like warm-ups before my first inning there, I was like kind of spiking them, and then Will was like, "Hey, like take a deep breath." Like we were down a couple, and like the game was already over, so it was nice to get my feet wet in that situation.
It all matters. And, just like you said, game 1 impacts game. Like we saw that in 2024, with the bullpen dogs, all that stuff matters with out there. Everybody's got their job. And to hear you say that, like that's the mentality from the fan perspective. You see a game's over, but if a game's blown out of proportion, lopsided thing, there is still a mentality there for each pitcher, each player to go out there and say, hey, this is going to impact the next thing. That's why it's a long series. You isolate that one game, and that's why usage in one game matters to the next. So it's like it's great to hear you say that, because you understand the job that you have there. Even if the score says one thing, that 2 games later, you possibly might have another shot and make this happen. So it's great to hear you say that. I mean, who were some of the players that, maybe some of the veterans that you leaned on, in the World Series there? Anything you called upon any player there? Anyone said something to you? Will Smith, you mentioned. Go in on that a little bit. Anybody else?
Yeah, Will was just, he was huge all year. Just kind of like how we attacked guys and, helping me get back into it. But yeah, like when I went out there for that 9th inning, or the bottom of the 8th, in game 1, and I was spraying the balls, and he was just like take a second, just take a deep breath, like get back into it, like just be yourself. And so that was huge to like kind of slow it down there, especially. And like the big thing, just like watching how some of the other guys that were, on the like in the World Series last year, like went about it. Like it is the most stressful like 2 weeks of your life with how locked in and laser focused you have to be, but you can still you still have to find a little bit of fun, and it's still a game. And so that was a big part of just seeing other guys like being able to like still be loose and not as uptight, and just laser not like you still have to be like super laser focused, but not being stressed out to the point where it's detrimental. And honestly, I think the biggest thing for us when we kind of came back down 3-2 was when Doc was running the bases and slipped and ate shit a little bit. Sorry.
You're good.
And so I thought that was like a huge moment, because a lot of I think that was 3-2. I think that was 3-2 when that happened.
Yeah.
And so just like seeing everybody like laugh at that, and like it kind of broke some tension there. Just seeing that he was able to still like try and have fun. And so that was really funny. But you just seeing like Tanner and Kirby weren't on that roster. They were still such a huge part in helping like me, especially like a lot of the younger guys, like stay in it, and how they went about the day still, and just seeing just like what they would do before, like throughout the regular season even, but in the playoffs, and just like how they're like, it's still a game, like it's it's not, don't make it bigger than it is kind of deal. And so that was really refreshing. And then just having Kershaw there too was cool, just to kind of see what he did, and just how he went about it.
And you mentioned Dave Roberts there. For a lot of fans, they kind of see the manager as just like the guy making the moves and kind of blame them for everything that goes wrong. We always try and push back that like there's a lot more to being a manager than just the moves on the field. How has he impacted you, like both on the team and in your life, and being a pitcher, and like what kind of impact does he have in the clubhouse that fans don't get to see?
Yeah, I think it's super overlooked how hard it is to manage like high money teams, I feel like, because there's a lot of outside stuff that I feel like comes with that. Obviously, I don't know a whole lot because I just got there, but I feel like if you look from the outside, it's like just this whole bunch of stars, and so just being able to like manage them and like know where to put them in the lineup, like usages for guys and stuff, like when everyone's expecting to go out there and be the best player on a team, like how do you get them all to like play together? And so I think he does a great job there, and everyone, like the players and like all the guys on the team are just absolutely great, and just everyone like works really well together, and so that was really refreshing. But yeah, when I first got there, like I was super intimidated to come into that clubhouse, and to meet him, and just everything around it being the Dodgers, and he kind of makes you feel at home, and just like the way he talked about being ready to pitch, and like there was a whole clip that I didn't even realize that he'd said, like, you're going to help us win a World Series, which I thought was really funny, which is like little things like that he says, like they make you feel important as other guys. And so that was a big part. And another one just like slowing down, like in your daily life in the clubhouse, and then especially out there, like just being able to slow the game down and, feel like you belong, was a big one for me as well.
That's big time. I really appreciate you saying, feel like you belong, and how you mention, high payroll guys all around you, and, with what that comes from it. So I want to go through your process here, Blake. I know we're going a little bit off of our deal, but I'd really like to know, coming to the Dodgers there, when did that moment, the Dodgers organization, when did that moment really happen where, how was getting acclimated to this organization there? You've always been known for having the big stuff, right? And walk me through your mentality joining this organization there, and how you felt you were going to kind of make your mark and get your opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's super intimidating to walk in that clubhouse and see all those nameplates. And I was just happy to maybe help out, like throw in the blowout games. Keep other guys from having to throw too much, or I mean, just being like a little background piece of a reliever they claimed. Like it was just cool to be a part of the team. And then just like talking to the pitching coaches, and it's like, hey, like if you just like do a couple of these things, like we're like expecting big things. And I'm like, okay, like everyone kind of says that, but I feel like they stick to the word, and you trust the process, and things keep going well, and you keep getting more opportunities. Like the last week of the season, and even before that when I'd come up, and so just like those guys have been great. And then even like going down and pitching down there, like they were still like talking to you up top and like working through the things that they had expected from you. And so the fact that they like cared, like no matter where you were, it really helped too. And then I had a couple, I had a rough one in Milwaukee, like my first stint up, and I was just able to talk to like our mental guy after, and just that kind of helped me flip a switch, where I was a little more tentative before, and now it's just more like, let's just go at guys and see if they can hit it, instead of being scared if they hit it. It's now like, I want to see you hit it. And so just kind of like just a flip in a couple words and having, a little bit more conviction in my actions, and just be able to like talk through those things that everyone goes through with those guys, and, not feel ashamed, was a big part of it as well.
Yeah. How much has like, the preparing on the mental side, like that's a huge thing that fans really don't take note of. It's not spoken on a lot. I think that being aligned with both your physical ability, your mental ability, your approach to the game, mentally, physically, you kind of align all that up on the mound, and you always do your best day to day. The one grind of a 162, and even further with guys who are coming up from the minor leagues and stuff like that. I mean, has that been which part of this path for you has been the toughest to navigate? Has it been the mental side of the game, the physical side of the game?
Yeah, like you can see objective results on the physical side. Like you can look at your ERA and look at your WHIP and look at wins and losses and all that, and like measure success in some way or another. But like you can't do that on the mental side, and so it's just like sticking to your routine and trusting all the work you've put in is hard. Like on the mound, like you've done it, but in the moment sometimes it's like, well, what if something else happens? And so just being able to like have your system to get back into place mentally, and so just being able to talk through stuff with guys on the team and like staff members, and just like how everybody kind of goes through that imposter syndrome cycle early on, or even like later on, like when you're struggling and stuff. And so just be able to like, you can't ride the roller coaster. You have to stay level headed. Like things will go well, and you can't be like, I'm the best player in the world, and then suddenly things go poorly and it's like, I'm the worst player to ever play the game. Like you have to stay in between, because you are not going to suck forever, and you're not going to be you're not going to be invincible forever. And so just be able to go in between and have like a healthy mindset is probably the biggest thing.
Is that the main thing the Dodgers worked with you on, or like did they tweak pitches? Did they change your usage and your sequencing and kind of dive a little deeper into the pitch characteristics and stuff like that?
Yeah, the biggest thing I think from just a baseball standpoint was adding the sweeper and replacing my old slider with that. And then just like the faith they had in my curveball, like just hearing them, like they were just just they believed in it up, they believed in it down, and so just be able to talk through like I don't just have to stick to it like down, like I'll get takes up, and then same thing with my fastball, like up is obviously where it plays the best, but you get freezes down, like don't be afraid to throw it there, and so just kind of being able to talk through different spots for pitches where you don't hear like some teams are like down and away, you have to go there, or like if your fastball plays up, they only want you to throw it up. So just having them like give you different ideas and that I hadn't heard before was great too. So, and then the mental thing was huge. Like just having someone to talk to there, and that I felt helped me a lot was really great.
And you've been working with Driveline before. Like, how much overlap is there with the stuff they're doing and what the Dodgers are doing, and how have you used all that data to improve your game specifically?
Yeah, there's a whole lot. I know Rob Hill is an old Driveline guy, and he's like the director of pitching in the minor leagues. And, I saw him a lot when I was in OKC. So there's a lot of ideas that are, crossing over. And so it's great to kind of have that transition between the two where it feels seamless. Because like sometimes like orgs are a little behind the curve and you're like, well, I don't want to, like, I feel like I'm doing more than they want me to, but I feel like this is what I need. And so there's not as much cohesion there, but you get here and it's like, I can talk to our pitching coaches with the Dodgers about what I'm doing here, and everyone thinks like kind of meshing. And so having that's been great. And then I've talked to my Driveline guys over the summer, or during the season about like what I'm doing. And they're like, yeah, like that's a good idea. Or like, here's some ways to like fix you in a funk if like I'm not necessarily getting the feedback I wanted to before. And so they were a huge help kind of get me back on track this year when I was in Tacoma, because I was struggling a little bit. And so just having them, and then they like, it's really easy to just talk through them with stuff because they see me in the off season. They're like, here's what's different. And then these guys have me in season. And so they're able to like kind of track what's different there. And so it's nice to be able to have those two that kind of work really well together.
And you mentioned that cohesion for the Dodgers thought process and kind of things. You've been in a few other organizations like the Royals and Mariners. Is that what makes the Dodgers different than other organizations, or like what differences have you seen between some of the past ones you've been with and now being with the Dodgers?
Yeah, I loved my time with Kansas City because I got drafted there, and I can't say enough great things about the people. But yeah, I was excited to go to Seattle because you hear so much about their pitching lab, and they really helped me too. I added that cutter. That was a big thing this year just for lefties because I struggled there. And so we had a talk at the beginning of the year, like, hey, like, here's a help for this. Like, this will be great because you've struggled against lefties. Like, you don't have that barrier arm side. So I kind of lose some balls over there when you're facing a lefty. But then I added that, and it's kind of like I was just driving it in there, and that helped with fastball like going in too. So that kind of flipped it where I struggled a little bit more towards righties because I don't have that barrier on the left side. And so that's when I kind of came to the Dodgers and they added that sweeper. But I feel like the Dodgers have someone for every position, and then sometimes two. Like in OKC, we had 2 pitching coaches and 2 hitting coaches, 2 strength coaches. Like there was so many people that you could talk to, and someone always had the right thing to say. And so I just feel like the people and the systems they had in place there, and just kind of how it was very cohesive. Like everyone would talk to everyone. Like if I had a question in OKC about something I was doing on the mound, that kind of felt like it would get bounced to Arizona and LA, and they'd be like, all right, like kind of here's what we see now, here's what we saw before, what might fix it, and kind of all around. And then like I felt like when I went up to LA, they knew what I'd been working on, whereas it hadn't felt like that necessarily before.
Will, all the things you're saying, it sounds like the Dodgers are a spot where they provide players with every resource possible to build. You're proving it right there. There, fans like there. It's a reason why the term destination spot gets thrown around so much. It's not just because the money is one thing that can be had with the Los Angeles Dodgers, but it's the ability to understand that player development matters, providing the resources to these guys matter. Finding big stuff. The numbers, when you look at things, just like you mentioned, numbers are one thing, but when you look at the data, you look at the things a player can do, peak performance, when you line up the physical, the mental side, you're laying out exactly what I think a lot of fans and people around the league understand that the Dodgers are doing it and they're the model of it. What I'd really like to know is, being drafted in the 5th round by the Royals, in 2020, going through fastball topping out and basically almost 102 at different points. I mean, you've been a guy with the stuff for a long time, and the Dodgers' ability to hone that in. I think my biggest thing is the Dodgers provided you with the freedom, like you said, to play your stuff any part in the zone sequence with a bunch of different looks there. That's something that's perhaps allowed you to blossom to your best, you think?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think they just do such a good job like embracing like each person's, different and unique, and not kind of like being cookie cutter with what they expect you to do. Even like at lower levels, because sometimes it's like in the minor leagues, everyone has to do the same thing, but you get here and it's like everyone is unique, and they're trying to buy into different like kinds of pitchers, because you see like down there we had a lot of like low release guys or guys that had like just outlier like crazy pitches, and so you see that they're just looking for guys that have different looks, and trying to make those as best as they could, whereas some other places might see you throwing weird and try to bring you to what they believe their mold to be. And so just having that, like, it was great to have guys that fully believed in like different pitches and throwing them all over the place. And so just having that confidence from them was a huge part of it.
Yeah.
And then if we could go back, like before you were with the Dodgers, even before you were professional, like when did you start actually playing baseball, and when did you realize it could be something that you could do professionally?
Yeah, I think I've always played baseball all the way back to T-ball. Just I grew up, being a Cubs fan, and I just played baseball my whole life. And I always I wasn't like super athletic. Like I was tall and lanky and didn't really know how to use my limbs. So I was a catcher in high school, and I could throw a little bit hard. Like I was 90s as a junior. And I was like, maybe I can go play college baseball somewhere. So I did showcases and travel ball and stuff, and ended up winding up getting an offer from Eastern Illinois. And so I was like, all right, like, let's go there. Like, I want to play professional baseball, but obviously, like, you never know what's going to happen. I wasn't a crazy prospect in high school. I could throw, 90 at that, like 91, 92 going into my freshman year there, which I was like, I can throw kind of hard, but I don't really know anything else about what it means to be a pitcher. And so that was kind of the whole thing there. Was our coach Jason Anderson was like, we need to turn you, from a thrower into a pitcher. And so it kind of took 2 years, at least 2 years to get there. Because after I did summer ball after my sophomore year, and it went really well, and I was throwing hard, and I ended up being the closer for our summer ball team, and that's kind of where it clicked. Like I was talking to like scouts and agents or advisors or whatever you called them back then, and they're like, hey, like you have a chance, next year. And I was just kind of coming onto the stage there, I felt like, and it was cool to start getting that interest. And I was like, oh crap, like this, it's a possibility. Like I always wanted to play professional baseball, but there's always like, it never really seemed like I was going that route, because I didn't throw great my freshman or sophomore year. And so having that happen my junior year or sophomore year, so I threw like 95, 96 sophomore year, and I think I touched an 8, but there was never a whole lot else with that. But that summer ball year, I was up to 100. Like curveball was great, like striking everybody out, like not walking people. I was like, oh, there's a chance here to go do something cool. And so then junior, I transitioned I tried to start my freshman year, didn't go great. So moving to like a full-time starter, ended up being like our Friday guy. And I remember like I had to start against Arkansas like opening weekend. And it went fine. I gave up a home run to Kerstead and Christian Franklin back to back, which sucked. But outside of that, like I felt like it was good. Like going to Arkansas opening weekend is always intimidating. But just seeing that and like kind of what I heard after that was like, okay, like this is gonna happen. Like let's just build on this momentum. And then the season gets cut short, and you're like, oh crap, what now? They made like four starts or something, and I was like, kind of felt like I needed more of that. And I'd heard from a couple teams like 6th, 7th, round grade and stuff, and so it was like we ended up having 5, and so I didn't know what was gonna happen. I was just really hoping I didn't have to go back to school.
Yeah, that's got to be intimidating. I mean, you going in on the, profile on you, what I'm seeing is, you were the number 1 ranked player in the Ohio Valley Conference going into the 2020 season. So you had some juice going into that.
Mhm.
So you're spot on with there. And just like you said, I mean, finished with a 3.33 ERA here. I mean, stuff flashing in the mid to high 90s. I mean, the stuff was there, but I'm sure with draft getting cut to 5 rounds, I mean, that puts you in a spot where, is this thing going to work out? I mean, biological sciences major, you had your eyes on other things too,
Yeah, I was
so
ready.
it just, yeah, you were ready to go. But I mean, look, the raw potential was there. I mean, and that's what ultimately these organizations look at.
Yeah, and I knew coming in that was like I had kind of put myself in a good spot, but I didn't feel like I had the resume like from the last couple of years or like the track record of success. So I feel like I was really hoping to get like a handful of good starts put together, and so that's when only getting those couple starts kind of like I wasn't sure if I had done enough to like push myself as far forward as I would have liked. Luckily Royals took a chance on me, which was great. But it was, I mean, the couple months after, like during COVID, before, like when no one knew anything, were like super stressful. Like didn't know what to do. Like waiting to hear like when the draft would be, how many rounds it would be, and what's going to happen from there. So yeah, I knew there was a chance, but just hearing a couple things from like different teams, like kind of throw some doubt in there, especially when it's as short as it was.
So when you were drafted, do you remember? I'm sure you remember how you found out about it, where you were, what you were feeling at the time. Like, could you tell us about the whole draft process there for you?
Yeah, I think so. It ended up being 5 rounds. I think it was just day 1 was the first round, and then the other 4 were just in day 2. Normally there's 3 and 40 rounds back then. But I was literally just sitting. I was at home with my now wife, parents, siblings, and I think some close friends, and I was just like watching it the whole time, just like sitting there, like literally like shaking from nerves the whole 2-3 hours or whatever it was before. Because I wasn't hearing a whole lot. I heard like maybe this team will take you in the 4th, and I didn't hear anything else from my agent about that. Then I got a text like, "Hey, like, will you take this from the Royals? Like, they're ready to select you at the start of the 5th." And I was like, "Oh my God, yes, please."
Yes.
And so I say that, and then like right before the pick comes up, I get a phone call from Dayton Moore. I think it was Dayton Moore or JJ at the time, and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna take you here." And I was like, that's kind of when it just relief, washed over. But my dad the whole time was checking like the actual live feed of draft picks because they announced them at a little bit of delay. So he's like trying to, pull one over and see if he could see who was drafted first. And he would say the picks before, but I was like, come on.
He was pick watching. Oh no.
I know. But yeah, they called me, and they kind of put an end to all those nerves, and the rest is history there.
And then after you kind of got settled into their organization a bit, you ended up getting traded to the Athletics, and then after that you got DFA'd and you were sent to the Seattle Mariners. So like, what do you remember about those processes? Because I'm sure it's kind of like you get that life-changing news that you're going to be a pro player with the Royals, and then they're sending you to a different team, and then you kind of get settled in there, and then you're going to a different team. So like, what is that whole thing like? What do fans not really recognize about that? Because we just see you there, and then like you disappear and you're with a new team kind of thing. So like, just what's that like on your life, and what were you thinking at the time of those?
Yeah, it was crazy because I had spent 4 years with the Royals, just like going up the levels, and then debuted with them, and it was like all is well, like I'm going to be a Royal forever, And then as soon as like I got recalled, and we were in Chicago, like on the way to play the White Sox, and I got a call from, I think it was JJ. JJ called me, and I was like, oh no, like what is this? And I was like, I just got traded, didn't I? Because it was on deadline day, I believe, or the day before. But like I got a call from JJ. I was like, oh no, I just got traded. Where am I going? And so then they told me I was going to the A's. Like, okay, like I was hoping maybe this will mean more playing time, and it'll be good. And so I ended up going back to our hotel and flying out to, they're playing the Giants. So I flew out to San Francisco the next day and just, started my journey there. But what people don't see there is my wife having to drive from Omaha with all of our stuff all the way out to Oakland, California. So that was fun. I think it was over 24 hours. So, they don't see all of the moving she's had to do, which is multiple, days worth of drives, which that's just crazy because I get to fly everywhere, and then she has to like bring all of our stuff and our cats, and it just seems like a nightmare. I don't know if I could even do it. So that's that's how we do it. And then I was there for 3 weeks. I didn't pitch great, didn't pitch a whole lot. Got sent to Vegas there. Ended up my elbow just flared up. Something I was dealing with all year, and it just got to a point where it was like I was throwing like low 90s, like nothing was coming out, and they're like, let's see what's going on. So I think I got like a PRP shot or something, cleared up some inflammation and stuff in there. So I thought I was all good there. Like they traded for me, maybe get another shot in spring. Like, I was like, we'd moved to around the spring training area, and it's like have a spring there, like see what happens. Probably, Vegas, or I guess they're in Sacramento at that time. But I didn't expect to, get DFA or anything, because they just traded for me. So I thought we were in the clear for a little bit, and we get to like go through, like be with their system. But then I got DFA'd in January after we were like already out here for spring training. I was like, oh no, like, are we gonna have to move to Florida? Like, that was kind of what was going through my mind. Like I thought I would get taken, or at least traded to another team. But I was more worried about having to like drive all the way to Florida after we'd already got all of our stuff out to Arizona for spring. But, luckily we went to Seattle, and so I was excited to get there for, their pitching development is pretty good. And so getting to go over there, and all the people were great. And, I had some friends on the team too. So it was a great experience. I had a good spring with them, or a decent spring, but, I enjoyed like my time there. And then Tacoma was sick. Like the area and everything around that was really fun. Obviously the PCL is not the most fun to pitch in, but we really liked, like my wife liked there too, because the area was just so pretty, and the weather was great after you got out of, March. So, but
I appreciate you appreciating the little things, Will.
Yeah. I mean, we'd go down to this beach, and there'd be seals there. And so it was pretty cool to be out in that area. But I didn't pitch great there. And so then they called up Cole Young. I got DFA'd at like 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning, which sucked. But
yeah,
I thought I actually been pitching better. I was like, maybe, they need help. Am I going up? But nope. So then I was like, that one sucks. So like, all right, like what now? Like hasn't been a great year. Like already been DFA'd once. Like, what's going to happen? And then like the Dodgers called that night, like, hey, we're trading for you. I was like, oh, that's sick. It's the Dodgers, and everyone's like, we want to go play for them. And so that was like kind of reinvigorated me a little bit. And then, we got there, and now we won a World Series. So yeah.
I mean, you talked about you feeling like your stuff was getting a little bit better. I mean, that stuff mattered. Like even if you have a tumultuous, past few weeks, there's something that clicks, and you might not even know it. Like it just clicks, and the ball's coming out better. And then you get a call from the Dodgers, a team that recognizes these things. So, I mean, it's the journey, man. It's the journey. I mean, you're bringing real life to this whole process that some of the, guys who have to go through a little bit of development, you've got to go through the process here. I mean, that's why we've got you here, because you've had a hell of a journey. And I think that you've got some legs in this league, and I'm excited to keep watching you pitch. I mean, like I mentioned at the top of the show, Blake has put us and our fans and our viewers on the stuff that you've had and rubbed it in our face all the way. My Will Klein, he's doing it. I mean, you've always known you've had this stuff. It's just what I see from you and what I saw in Game 3. I mean, the fact that you're under team control for some years, even with the big name guys, I think you've got a sticking place with this bullpen, and I think there's so much more for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, the biggest thing for me with this stuff has been, trusting it. I mean, you see a lot of guys, a lot of good stuff that don't, make it. And, a big part of that is one, staying healthy, and two, just, believing in it. And so I feel like that's what the Dodgers have really helped me do.
Yeah.
Related to your like command and control, there's some points in your career where you had a lot of trouble throwing strikes, and then it seemed to kind of click with the Dodgers. And I know, kind of related to what Scott was saying, like I tweeted, it was after you struck out 2 guys. I was like, Will Klein might be the next gem that the Dodgers have found. And then I think right after that, you walked 3 or 4 guys in a row and got taken out of the game. And of course, I got some backlash on that tweet at the time.
He's gonna look right after the show.
I don't remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, but or you gave up a hit or something too and allowed a run to score. But
was that the Astros? Yeah, I think that was the Astros game. Wasn't
it might have been.
I love this. I love that pitchers just have this.
Well, because I had 2 outs and the base was clear, and I get a single walk, single HBP or something stupid, single like just stupid hits, and then hit a guy with bases loaded. So
that sounds right. But like, so how did that all kind of click? Like, was that just a mental thing there, or was it kind of mechanical related, or like when did the strike throwing ability start to come together?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the biggest part is just like repeating mechanics, and the hardest part of that is thinking about mechanics as you do them. And so like if you don't think and you just like throw, that's the easiest way to be repeatable and just like get in the flow, and kind of like it's mindless motion, and you're just like going through, something you've done a billion other times. But the second I start thinking about like what I'm doing out there, or like how I'm moving, it's like then your mind kind of takes control instead of letting your body do it. And that's where you get stiff, and that's where you get like you throw a ball and you're like, oh shoot, like I can't throw another one, or like I can't walk this guy. And so that's where like the hardest part for like guys, like you get over a hump at some point where like you can throw strikes. Like I'm not that wild. It's just sometimes like your mind takes over, and it's like, well, what if I throw balls? And so like being able to just flip that switch, and like who cares if they hit it? Like who cares if I walk a guy? Like I'm just going to go straight at this guy with what I've got, and I'm going to make him beat me. And so like just the biggest thing is just flipping from a little like more passive to more aggressive like mindset when you're out there. Like that's the biggest thing. Like other than like kids or like guys that are developing, like when you figure out your mechanics and you figure out your motion, like you can throw strikes. It's not it's not that hard. People always say just throw strikes, but then going and doing it in games with hitters and people watching, like then you start thinking about it, and that's the hard part, not thinking about it. And so just being able to kind of get into that like mindless, like just in the zone kind of deal is what really helps there. And then you stop thinking about it. And I mean, I still walked guys. I'll still walk guys, but it's not because I'm scared of walking them. It's because
strategic.
Yeah, or just sometimes they get away from you, or you make good pitches and they take, and like stuff like that'll happen. But I'm gonna be damn sure it's not gonna be because I'm scared.
Yeah. Can I don't think I've always wanted to ask a reliever this question there, or any pitcher. Is it tough to trust your defense at a high level? Is it tough to sometimes pitch the contact, like have that mentality, or you just, that's it, whatever happens after the ball is put in play?
Yeah, I know they're going to make their plays. You see all the plays they made, throughout the playoffs. Like that's the kind of stuff that gets you to World Series. Like you don't make it that far if you can't field your position. And obviously, that happened on the other side to some other teams that didn't quite make it. But I mean, I trust them, full-heartedly, and the balls will fall in the outfield regardless of how good a pitch is you throw. And so you can't be like expecting every ball put in play to be an out. And so it's just like, if they, put a good swing on it, they get paid to hit. But I'm going to make sure like it's as hard for them to do that as it is. And if they get crappy contact and it falls in between, stuff like that happens.
Yeah.
And so I'm just, I'm not worried about what happens then. I'm just up there like trying to make as good of pitches as I can.
Yeah, even if the Dodgers organization, like as a team, didn't have the best like defensive, metrics, or all those numbers there, I think just from what we saw, the wheel play, the baseball IQ, Kike, the back picks, all those things, all the veterans on the Dodgers, even the young guys, felt like they understood the assignment of what to do with the ball, where all just have that little bit of competitive advantage. And that's why I wanted to ask you about your defense. It's just these guys behind you, they know what to do with the ball. They're thinking 2 plays ahead, having Miguel Rojas out there, Mookie Betts, Max Muncy,
Right.
Will Smith. It's just they all have been there. Even hearing them talk about the wheel play, something that they hadn't practiced maybe all year, is just that type of stuff. It's just last 10 years. Like I don't think I've seen that in forever. And it's just having the wherewithal at each given moment that maybe, Barger gets off the base a little too much, getting a little overzealous on second base, having that ability there. I mean, it's a unit. It's just a team that comes well prepared at any given day.
Yeah, I feel like it's super easy in those situations too, with the pressure to kind of forget where you're supposed to be or forget
Mhm.
where the ball's supposed to go, and you don't see that with those guys. And like no one let the moment get too big. Like the relay from Teo to Tommy to Will, where they
Yes.
had him out for like 2 steps. It's just like how many times do you practice that as a kid? And it's like in such a big moment, did it play such a big role? Or, Tommy getting that deflection and getting that
On
out,
third.
or yeah,
You're right.
yeah, and it's just such crazy. Like he's going to back up the play, and he gets the ball, and then you're getting extra out there. Pages like dunking on Kike out there, and Miggy like being able to still get that ball to home. Like he like just knowing you can't turn two there, and you're going home, and still being able to get the ball there. Like such crazy plays in the biggest of moments that like it's easy to lose track of where you're supposed to go, or like what you're supposed to do in those moments, and you just don't see it even from the young guys. And I think that's part of being on a team like that. It's just kind of step out there and you just know what you're supposed to do because everyone else does, and it's like it just feels as a whole like it's just so well rounded.
Then going back to the development stuff, like there's all the talk about how the Dodgers are ruining baseball by buying every player they want and spending all the money. But you're one of the success stories of how they are really good at developing players too. Like when you see all that stuff about the Dodgers, like what's your take on that? Do you just kind of laugh at it and like think like I'm the opposite of what all you guys are saying? Like this is a really great organization.
Yeah, I mean it is funny. I like to think like whereas I would like some of that big money. But I mean, like we had how many of the guys in the bullpen were, random guy like you see the big money with Kirby and Tanner there, but how many of the guys have been Dodgers or came with the Dodgers or got, they took a chance on like Muncy, and then Will was a draft. They've had Kershaw forever. They traded for Mookie. I mean, the Braves kind of gave up on Freddie there, although whatever happened happened.
Yeah.
There's some weird story there. But I mean, Sheehan, Robleski, Vesia even like trade there. Like Asparius, Dryer, like all those like younger
Bonda
guys
even.
Bonda, yeah, 8 teams or whatever. Like, and there's, I mean, so many others that like play a huge role. I mean, you have like Stone coming, and I know, I think River Ryan was a draft here. I'm not sure how he got
He was
here, but
traded
he's,
from the
yeah, traded.
Padres.
Yeah, but like all these other guys that play such big roles in like the like in those moments that people don't see. Like you can go buy all the biggest players, but you still have to go play the game. It's so hard to play 162 plus games, and so just be able to like have those other guys go out there and play huge roles. Like that's how you get to where you get. And I think a lot of like some of it comes from like you wish your guys would like some of their owners would spend like that, which I understand. Like came up a Cubs fan, so you see they get there with the big three, and you're like you wish like they went 100 plus years without it, and so like some teams like feel like that, and you totally get that, but being on the inside of it now, it's like you feel the opposite. Like there's so many other people that play such huge roles that it doesn't feel like you can just buy those guys. You can't buy those moments.
Yeah.
And then so like which people have been most influential to you throughout your career? Has it been family, friends? Like who's been there, past coaches?
No, I mean I think my wife is the single reason I'm still going. Because I mean she was with me in high when I had a good year, and then I sucked the next year in Double A, and then the next year in Double A and Triple A when I had a good year, and then last year, and she's been through all the trades and she's driven everywhere, and so like she's the one that's kind of got me through all of it. When
Yep.
you suck and you go home, and it's like you try to like I used to just bring it home, and I would just be like pissed off. I was not pissed off, but like just like super disappointed and upset with myself, like when I wouldn't pitch well, and especially if it went on for a while. And so just be able to come home, and it's like, I mean, I'm not a baseball player first to her, or my cats. And so it's like just being able to like separate that when you go home, and be able to kind of take that off, and just be a husband, and and their food provider for a little bit, to those fellows. And so that's like the biggest thing for me that's kind of helped take off some of the pressure like outside of baseball, and that's been big. And then obviously like my parents, I mean, driven me to all my little league and travel ball games, and they've made it out to games and some cool events. And so just having that support system, I think, is the biggest thing for me.
You mentioned your cats. I'm a
There
big
you
cat
go.
guy too. You gotta tell us about your cats. What are their names?
Oh
How
yeah,
long
they're
have
locked.
you been a cat person?
Yeah, they're locked up right now. They're yelling and fighting, so they're in timeout. No, they come in and they'll start fighting in here. They just like playing. But
He's been waiting all day to ask this question of
I
you, Will.
know.
I promise.
I can go find one of them here in a second. But yeah, gray one's Ash, orange one's Mango. We got Ash winner in St. Louis in 2022 or after 2021 season. Was it in 21? Yeah, because he's 4 now. Yeah, so I think we got him after the 2021 season. And he's been around since then. And Mango we got the next year when we were in St. Louis as well, and he's orange and he's 3 and just about as bright as every other orange cat. But they've been great. Like same thing, like they don't know what baseball is. They'll watch it, but they don't really understand anything about anything at all. And so just coming home and just like being able to play with them and take my mind off the game is that's a huge part of it as well. And just being able to just hang out with them, and they're super snuggly too, so they're certainly a stress reliever.
There you go. Yeah, they just see this big 6'5" individual walking in like he loves me. Yeah.
He's gonna give me some food right now.
And then you're also, you want to go?
Yeah. No. This is it. I mean, you've got some big time interest that Blake is all about.
I know.
There we go.
The card collecting, Pokemon, soccer. You told me, like, how'd you get into collecting? I know you've told me about some of your best cards. Like, how's that all come together?
Yeah, I mean, it started as a kid. We'd go to the Target, and they'd have the old packs that I'll see pictures of shelves from like back in the 2000s of packs that are thousands of dollars now when they were like $3, $4, $5. But
yeah,
just starting that, and like I remember getting the Game Boy Advance for my 6th birthday, and playing Fire Red for days on end, and when I got my DS and I played Pearl forever. And so it's just like I've always been such a huge Pokemon fan from that, and watching the show as a kid. And I liked Yu-Gi-Oh a lot too then, but it's not as collectible, and the game's kind of gone from that. So, but those are, I mean, I grew up such a big Pokemon fan. So when I signed in 20, and we spent that off season in St. Louis in 21, and actually had like some adult money, I was like, what did I like doing before? And so I started, I got back into Pokemon cards then, and it just kind of like brings back the childhood a little bit, and it's nostalgic. And so I haven't stopped. I've got like 7 binders around me right now. And then soccer, that's my one of my favorite sports to watch, and I'm a huge Chelsea fan, so I just collect Chelsea cards, and I just like opening soccer cards. It's probably my favorite sport to watch outside of college basketball. So I'm just a huge fan there, and it's fun to open and look for your favorite players, and that's a little different than Pokemon, but I'll do baseball too as well to get guys I played with, and try to get them to sign stuff. And so I think that's cool, getting past and current teammates. So there's a little bit of everything in there. And I play some card games, but I don't collect that as much.
You didn't mention there's a specific card you have that you told me about that from a certain 2-way star on the team.
Oh yeah, let me see if I have that. I should have it. Yeah, I did have the one thing I've had Shohei sign, which took me like a couple months to work up the nerve. I got stuff.
I'd love to know how conversation went.
One, he's never around his locker. He's always doing important stuff. And so I just saw him at his locker, and I was like, I've had this for a while. Like, and I went up to him and was like, hey, like, could you sign this for me? And it was his rookie card, so I need to see what that is. But that was cool. I'm going to keep that one forever.
Yeah.
So many. I've got some other like favorite players. Like I've got some Caitlin Clark, Alex Morgan, a lot of Cole Palmer, Artie Goulet. It's just some like my favorite players. But yeah, I mainly just collect players. Where is Shohei? Where are you? Oh, Kershaw rookie card. That's cool. I meant to ask him to sign that, but yeah, this was cool. Yeah, I got him to sign it. I just went up to him and asked him. I got that graded. just to have, so I don't ruin it. I had that in my like backpack for all of like the last year because I got that during the 24 World Series, and so I had that. Did my camera go blurry a little bit?
I think Scott's power went out here, but we'll see if we can get him back.
Oh, we lost him. I think my camera went blurry too. But yeah, I'd had that since the World Series last year, and so I was just hoping like if I ever played him again, I would just like send that over because I got when they came to Oakland, I had like a couple guys sent balls over to get signed. I was like, maybe if we ever play again, I can get him to sign this. And it ended up, being on his team. So that's the one thing I've asked him to sign. So that's cool. And he was like my wife's favorite player outside of, myself. So having that in our collection is really cool.
You might be able to get Kirsch to sign it for the ring ceremony. We'll probably be back there for that.
I got a cool ball signed by him. And then he had his like 3,000 strikeout bobblehead that I got signed to. So I've got some cool Kirsch stuff. That was like what people said too. Like if you have anything like memorabilia you want, like just ask. Like we're all teammates. Like it's going to look cool in the future, and you're going to regret not getting some of that stuff. So I went ahead and got some balls and stuff signed by guys. So that's one thing I'll take from the Dodgers with me.
So what other hobbies do you have, like outside of card collecting? Like, how do you get your mind off baseball besides hanging out with your family and cats? And are you a video game person, TV?
Yeah, we watch a lot of TV. And I play FIFA, but it honestly angers me more than anything else. So I'll put that back later. So I'm not that game. It just ruins my day sometimes. But I do like playing it. It's probably the game I'm best at. And then I'll play other games like Fortnite and stuff with my friends, but I'm not very good. So that's it doesn't really do a whole lot of good for me. But and then we like just go going on walks and being in the outdoors, especially like out here in Arizona. Like there's so many mountains and really cool nature places that we'll just go walk around. So that's really nice to just be able to go on a nice little hike. And I play Magic the Gathering, so that's like the nerd in me even more so. So that is also something I spend a lot of my free time doing is that.
Those Magic cards get pretty expensive and collectible too, don't they?
Yeah, certain ones. I don't have any like crazy expensive ones like I do my Pokemon. Most of mine are in decks, so I don't have any like of the most expensive or crazy cards for that. I should. I'll start getting some cool ones of that.
It's a dangerous path once you start getting into another collecting thing. I do football, Pokemon, and Star Wars, so
I got some cool Star Wars cards too.
So you're a Star Wars fan also. Okay. So
yeah.
Best movie?
Fuck. Oh, I can't say that. Ooh.
All good.
I mean, obviously, here, I'll one up you. Did you prequels or sequels?
I'm a prequel person because I grew up with them. Yeah. Right. I mean, I love them all. I've watched all the shows, all the movies, everything. So.
Oh, for going shows. I got my wife to watch The Mandalorian too, so that might be our favorite just because we've gotten to watch that together. But I haven't watched Ahsoka. I meant to. My friend keeps telling me I need to watch the Clone Wars, so those are all on the horizon. But I haven't watched any of those. What's the one with the pod racing?
Phantom Menace, episode 1.
Phantom Menace. That's a good one. I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have a single specific one. I do like the sequels though, but with the little guy, the prequels are so good too. I don't know. I'd have to. I'd probably go there just because I do like the pod racing scene. I think that one's pretty great. But I'll come up with a better answer for you next time.
All right. What other movies and shows? What are your kind of favorites and go-tos?
Oh, we're running through the Office super fan episodes right now. So those have been really funny to get to watch with like the extended cuts because they add so much that you don't really see in the like cut versions. So like some extras like relationships and stuff you don't necessarily see at the start or like in the actual show. So that's been cool. And then what else are you watching? My wife's been watching Bridgerton, or she just finished all of that. She's a big Bridgerton fan. So I'll watch that with her occasionally. Like, the dumb reality stuff, because it's just entertaining and funny to take your mind off that and see how people act when they're, on TV and stuff. I just think it's so funny sometimes. But and then all the Marvel movies. I think I've watched. Actually, I'm a little behind right now, but all those, the Harry Potters, like we've watched those a bunch. So just the classics.
Have you had a chance to make it up to Disney or Universal with the Harry Potter land and Star Wars land and Marvel?
So we did Disneyland earlier this off season, and we have plans to do Universal at some point. So I didn't realize Disney or Universal was actually, a lot closer to LA than Disney is. Otherwise, we probably would have done it sooner, but we're going to hopefully get to do that.
I
Sorry about that, boys.
Attack of the Clones. I forgot about that one.
Okay.
That one's great too. I don't know. I can recall like specific like scenes I really like. The Clone Wars was, but I like the pod racing too. I don't know. That one just sticks out to me.
Scott, we got into the Star Wars and Disneyland stuff while you were gone. So.
Oh, perfect. I mean, I'm big. I'm a huge subtle fan of the Star Wars stuff. Disneyland. Blake's been trying to get me to get a Magic Key Pass for years. I haven't bit yet.
Yeah, we went once this off season. Did 2 days there, and that was fun. I really liked it. We tried to do like all the rides and stuff. There was a lot of long lines, but it's still really fun. And I think I liked California Land or California Adventure more, but Disneyland was still really cool. I guess are they technically the same thing, or
they're like separate? You have to have the different tickets for both, but yeah, they're kind of all one.
Yeah, it was a fun 2 days though.
And then, so if you weren't playing baseball right now, what do you think you would be doing?
Oh, dude, I'd probably be in a lab somewhere. If I hadn't, continued with baseball, I probably would have, finished bio degree, gotten a master's, and then started doing some sort of research somewhere. I was big into like virology and stuff, so probably something down that track. When I started bio, I wanted to like work with the CDC and do infectious disease researches and stuff with viruses. So that probably would have been the path I would take. And, obviously COVID happened, so it would have been interesting to be, in the depths there. So, but probably something along those lines.
A little ironic for you that COVID happened right when you were drafted as you were studying.
Yeah, we had some discussions about it in class. It was fun to be in. I was in like an evolutionary biology class and talking about epidemics and stuff. So it was kind of ironic that we got to witness one.
And one more quick one.
Or pandemics, yeah.
One more quick one. Your favorite teammate who have you bonded with on the Dodgers? Like, has that been?
Well, that's tough. Because I like Banda and Tanner have been great, but I really like Dreyer and Sheehan just being younger guys. But I'd say Gervais, he was in OKC and he got some time with the Dodgers this year. But when he got traded over, like I think we became pretty close, and so that's been just guys that have kind of new to the team and outsiders, and it's just been. I think he brought a fresh light to some of the guys in OKC and myself. So I think that was good.
Yeah,
and
go ahead, Blake.
You mentioned like Banda. You guys doing a lot of Pokemon trading? Like I think Kike is a big Pokemon guy too.
Kike is huge.
Trade there?
Yeah, they opened so many packs and boxes this year, it's insane. But when we were in Arizona, Banda brought his old collection, and it's so many cool vintage holos that he's had since he was a kid. So that was really cool to see.
I have a few first edition Gengars that I was trying to save for my daughter, and Blake is trying to barter with a 10-year-old. So Will, I've got maybe a few of them. Do you say we'll do this right here? Do I let Blake have one of them?
Have or buy?
Make a trade with a 10-year-old for a first edition Gengar. Do I
if the
green light?
10-year-old gets anything sick from Blake, I'd
There
say
you go, Blake.
for it.
There you go. All right, you heard it. Yeah, you have to hold that. Perfect.
We'll give you an update if we pull off a trade here.
Yeah, we will. You'll have to be the mediator on that one, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right. I mean, Will, thank you. Appreciate you joining in everything. I mean, just been someone that we've been super excited to talk to for quite some time. Myself, Blake, especially. Can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on. That was fun, just talking about baseball and some other stuff outside of that. So I had a good time.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've been busy with these this off season.
No, it's fun though. I've talked to some people I did them with when I got drafted all the way back then, and so just being able to kind of see where we're at now has been fun. And then some other actual radio interview with Vesse and stuff like that. And so it's been a well-rounded group of talkings. So it's been fun.
Yeah. I mean, you've been one of the most notable players that have stuck out to me that put, I think, outreach and giving back to, fans, community, kind of on a big pedestal, and you hold that in real high regard. Is there any reason for that?
Yeah. I mean, I just think my parents were both teachers for, special needs students. And so just that's in high school, I was part of best. Yeah. And she still is. And so, and I grew up doing Best Buddies, and I'd always see her doing some sort of work, and she still does. And so just being able to have a bigger platform now and be able to go and do other things giving turkeys out and stuff like that, and be able to give back to the people in LA that are going through hard times is it's been nice to be able to give back in a bigger way than in the past.
Yeah. Will, thank you so much. Again, our viewers are going to love this one. I hope this makes its rounds, however it does. Thank you so much. I mean, everybody, thank you for tuning in today. Yeah, to Dodger Heads presented by DodgerBlue.com. We're here with World Series hero and Los Angeles Dodgers. I would say you're on your way to becoming a folk hero legend, man. I mean, thank you for joining us. I'm here with Blake Williams. My name is Scott Gierman. Everybody, till we can't say it anymore.